Okay, if you please join us for a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first meeting of the brand new year. First order of business. We've got two sets of minutes to approve. One was on Monday, December 30th, and then the other one was on December 31st, when we came back in to close out the year. So, entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Tom has moved, and I guess we'll approve both sets at once, so if that's agreeable. Tom's made a motion to approve. Entertain a second.
Second.
Cody is second. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consent agenda, we don't have anything in that category today. Miscellaneous motion. This here's, to my knowledge, this is an annual. Upon review of the proposed agreement by the county council, move to approve the agreement between Compliance One Inc. and Coffee County for drug and alcohol testing and/or FMCSA, which is Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Clearing services. This agreement will run for a 2-year primary term beginning on first day of January 2020.
Has this always been a 2-year agreement?
Well, that's the question I was gonna ask, because I don't remember when the last time we did it, Bob. I mentioned 1 year, I've overlooked it, this is a 2-year agreement, so.
Yeah, and this is something new. I sent this information out to you, to your email, for you to take a look at a couple weeks ago. And the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association, or Administration, has mandated changes for all of our CDL holders. So, beginning today is when it starts. So if we go to hire a new driver, then we have to work with Compliance One, our drug and alcohol testing company, and do a check to see if they have any strikes on their records that would tell us that we shouldn't hire this person. So it's going to be a mandate for all CDLs. So, and we'll have to do an annual query on all the CDL holders, which will cost an additional amount. And then when we go to do a new hire.
So does this change the other than the, for CDL, does this change the existing agreement we have?
No.
So are we gonna have two separate agreements with them then?
No, this agreement here includes our drug and alcohol and our federal clearinghouse services.
I'll move.
If Fred is so moved, entertain a second.
Second.
Thomas second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Okay, next on our agenda is our Coffee County Chamber Director, Joanne. How do you pronounce that last name?
Harrison.
Okay, I apologize for that, Joanne.
That's okay.
So welcome, and if you want to, and I know our Economic Development Director, Rhonda Truelove, is also here this morning. So if you need to step in at some time, Rhonda, feel free to do so.
Okay.
So, Joanne, welcome to the Commissioners meeting, and
Thanks.
I know Commissioner Bob has been in touch with you, because we're, at this point, entertaining the possibility of, and we have advertised for Economic Development Director.
Mhm.
I know Bob asked you to come in to see, what you can provide for services towards that area, where there could be a joint venture, and we've talked about that for other counties. And I'm not sure that's the direction we need to go, but, so we look forward to hearing what you have to say for it.
All right. Well, the only thing, when Bob stopped in, honestly, I didn't even know who he was, and he came in to pick up some chamber bucks for one of the departments, and I asked him to sign for him because I didn't know who he was. I felt really bad, but anyway, so we just started talking, and I was just sharing with him some of my ideas of things that I would like to do through the chamber or as a group effort for the county. It was not my idea to do the van wraps, but when I came here, I was here first as in the chamber as the assistant, and that was November 1st I started, and by February 11th I was full-time chamber director. So they had been talking about these van wraps for about a year and a half, but nobody ever did anything with them. It was just kind of sitting there. The funds had been approved and everything, and so I've been in marketing for almost 35 years now, and I just said, let's get this thing going. Let's quit sitting on this. Let's do something. Let's make those vans a moving billboard. And because of my marketing experience, we had tried different avenues to come up with a design for the vans, and finally one night I just went to bed and I was like, you've been doing this for over 30 years, just come up with something. So I did, and you've seen the first one. So I just wanted you to know I do have, most of my ideas are marketing ideas, things to draw people to the county. I moved here last September, a year ago September, from Ohio. I am not from Kansas, never been to Kansas, but my son-in-law, his job brought him here, and he's from here. His family is from here, lifelong residents, and I followed my grandsons here, and I fell in love with this little community. When I left Ohio, I'm not from there, but I was living on the east side of Cleveland, not right in Cleveland, but one of the suburbs. And when I came here, my daughter kept saying, oh, Mom, it's just this little teeny, it's so rural, it's 45 minutes to the nearest Walmart. And in my mind, I'm thinking, man, this sounds wonderful. I'm tired of all of the driving and so on and so forth. So my whole thing is coming here as an outsider is actually, I think, a good thing. Because sometimes when we live in the forest, you can't see the trees because you're used to them. So when I came here and I started learning the communities, I started out working full-time at Bucyrus, I'm from Bucyrus, Ohio, and I get that sometimes confused with Burlington. I started working at the Burlington High School and as a custodian in the evenings, and so I started meeting people then, and then I started working for the chamber, and I started talking to people, and a lot of people were like, oh, we're just a little, nothing's ever going to happen, and then we lost Shopco, and I started listening to what people were saying, and I've always said since I've been here, we are not Emporia. We are never going to be Emporia. We are Coffee County. So we have to make the best of who we are with what we have. I don't personally, not that, don't get me wrong, I don't think that a Shopco or some sort of a retail store would benefit us, but we have to focus on what we have first to bring the people in here so that we have a bigger need for one of those businesses. I don't believe Shopco left here because we didn't support them. I think they left because their whole company closed. Everybody shut down. It wasn't necessarily us. But anyway, so I started on my own doing some researching and talking to people, and one of the things that I hear is, we're the catfish capital, or used to be anyway. And so I'm like, well, let's go with that and draw on that, because from everything I'm reading and finding out is hunting, fishing, camping, and all of the outdoor activities is why people come to Coffee County. That's one of the reasons they come here. they're not coming here for Walmart or things like that, but they're coming here because it's getting them away mostly from the city. So we want to become a destination for people to come to. When I lived in the Cleveland area, anybody who went anywhere, they didn't go in, don't get me wrong, some people go into downtown Cleveland, but if you're from there, you go someplace else. As Bob and I talked a couple weeks ago, people in Burlington like to go to Emporia. They like to go to Ottawa. That's where they want to shop, or Topeka, because it's a way for them on a Friday evening or a Saturday afternoon to get away. You want to get away from your surroundings. And so that's one of the reasons I liked the Catfish capital, because when our vans are in these bigger cities, when they're in Kansas City and Topeka or wherever they're at, these people live there. They want out of there. They want a break from there. So now they're sitting behind our van and they're stuck in traffic and they're sitting there and it looks like they're parked right on that dock watching a sunrise or sunset. It actually looks like it could be either way, but it was an actual sunrise. And so they're like, they look at that and they're like, oh, that's where I want to be. Sunshine, and they look at the water. Water always brings peace. And so, all they do is they look up and it just says coffeecountykansas.org. And it brings them right to the website. And one of the things I really want to work on, we're actually working on the Chamber's website, but I really want to focus a little bit more on the tourism aspect, which is what is going to draw the people here. One of the things I said to Bob, and I've said to my daughter's father-in-law, is I see Coffee County as a grandparent. We want you to come and visit. We want you to come and have fun. We want you to come and spend money. Or, of course, as a grandparent, you spend the money on them. But we want, when you're done, we want you to go home. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't want necessarily everybody to go home. It's not that we're opposed to having people move in. But that's the other thing I hear on the streets is we don't want to grow so large. We don't want to be in Emporia or Topeka. We want to stay a small community. That's why we have what we have. We have low crime rate. We have great schools. And the larger you get, that starts falling away. Now, I'm not saying industry is not welcome here. I think EMP Shield is doing an awesome job in our community. And I would love to see more businesses, smaller industry come in. A lot of people, I feel, think you got to start big. You got to have a Wolf Creek is our next project. It may not be a Wolf Creek. It might be 10 EMP Shields that's going to help with that. Those are just some of my thoughts, some of, my ideas, things that I would like to see. I personally, through the Chamber, would like to see us do more. I don't want to spend a lot of time in seminars. Seminars can be good, but it doesn't fit everybody. It's not an all-fit glove. So, but I would like to be able to work more, which I'm starting to do with the lady up in Topeka with the state's parks and tourism, and see what we've got and what we can bring in and what we can do, because I believe there could be some funding there. My goodness, we've got, five county lakes, 5 lakes, plus John Redmond. That's tons of catfish, guys. So those were some of my thoughts. I have other ideas. That's just kind of what I wanted to go on. I wasn't 100% sure what I was doing here today, other than kind of talking about some of my ideas. I did bring, if you would like, a copy of the Chamber's 2019 year in review. I'm sorry, Denise, would you like one? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Donna. You're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. The one thing, the only other thing I'd like to bring up is in this past year, a full-time executive director at the Chamber. This is a first. I don't know if years ago there was one, because it was written in our policy and procedures for a full-time executive director. But when I look back on the records, I don't see one anywhere. Everybody was always part-time. So to go full-time, I had to do without an assistant, so I've been doing all of this without an assistant, which at first was okay, because there was a lot that I still needed to learn. I wanted to learn, there still is. There's tons more I need to learn. But then I got kind of stuck doing some of the, the everyday administrative work, which ties me down. One of the things by summertime I was very proud was that I've been able to get out into all of the communities in Coffee County. That was one of the things I had heard, how people were disappointed on how the chamber directors spent most of their time, focused most of their time just on Burlington. And we are the county seat, we're the largest, and I think we do deserve a little extra time, but the smaller communities need me just as much, maybe even if not more. And so that's what I want to do, is I'd like to see, I was spending more time in the counties. Each of the county events that were done through each of the communities, I was able to be there and help. I was serving dinners and beer brocks, is that what they're called? I never had one before. Those things are delicious. So those are just some of the things. I love being out in the community. I had done in the past, I had done trade shows. I've gone with tourism directors in Ohio, and we would take off for a weekend and we covered Pennsylvania, not covered, but went to businesses in Pennsylvania and New York and in Michigan, just stopping in and visiting with different, actually we were visiting with tourism buses, the buses that would come in, and for a museum that we had in the area. So I guess that's it. What questions do you have for me? Let's start from there.
You're not here interviewing for the economic
No,
development.
I know that.
But to me, you've done a good job.
Thank you.
Of maybe interviewing for that job. Is this something that could be put together with Rhonda being here? Can you, as the director of the chamber, can one person do both jobs? Because there's a lot of connection between those two responsibilities.
I definitely believe that.
Can one person do it?
I don't know.
And justify doing a good job?
I honestly, I would have to answer that. I don't know. I'm not sure what the duties are for an economic development director. I have always said that I don't feel, other than just what experience I've had, I don't have the background, I don't have the capability to be an economic development director. I'm not real big on going in and figuring out the square feet of a piece of property that needs sewer to it, or I don't know those types of things, that's part of an economic development director. As far as going out, yes, I think that works together. I totally agree with that.
Well, it sounds to me like you can do a good job of selling the county, and that's what the biggest part of their responsibility is selling the county to entice people to come into our county.
Okay, that I can do.
To me, that is one of the big pieces of the puzzle.
Gotcha.
I know, there's been a little bit of discussion, maybe not necessarily here, but individually, about maybe joining hands with another county economic director and sharing with that economic development director, what county do I promote more than I do the other one?
Exactly.
We want Coffee County to be promoted first.
Well, of course.
But, my first impression of you is very, very positive.
Well, thank you.
Whether they could be put together or not, I don't know the answer to that either.
Yeah, that I don't know. Rhonda and I have talked a few times. Rhonda, you can butt in. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Stacy always said that it'd be nice to give all of the tourism that we do over to you, and then we can more on economic development, because we do tourism also.
That would be perfect. I think the tourism portion, we are Coffee County Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center is actually our official name. I don't get to spend any time being a visitor center. And that's what we need. We need that almost more than we need a chamber. director. And I don't mean that in a wrong way, because that's my job. I don't want to lose my job. But that's what's going to bring the people in. That's what's going to help my chamber members, is the tourism that brings the people to the county, brings them to the communities. And I don't want, again, it just to be Burlington. I think with 75 coming through, a lot of it's going to be Burlington, but there is no reason that the outlying communities, doesn't each county have its own lake, I think? I know there's one in Gridley and...
Ridley, Lebo.
That's
all I know.
Yeah.
New Strong.
New Strong,
New
yeah.
Strong.
New Strong, excuse me.
There's not one in, is there one in Leroy? There's not one in
No,
Leroy?
no.
Okay.
Our trademark on water is the Neosho River going through, which is the catfish part of it, which is
Exactly.
Burlington and all that. 25 new chamber members last year. Did
Yeah.
you go to them first, or they come to you?
A little of both. The majority of them, I went to them. I had my first week that I was full-time chamber director, I had 2 people come in the same day and asked to become a chamber member. So I don't remember exactly who all they are right off the top of my head, but probably everybody else, I went to them. I've been holding a lot of ribbon cuttings, trying to be more active that way. We started doing a quarterly, instead of calling it chamber after hours or business after hours, I call it the chamber coffee break. And we do it at 5:30 in the evening. We've had 3 of them. The first one was that when Surprise Me Cakery opened, and we did their ribbon cutting, and it was great. I was so shocked how many people showed up and how many different businesses. I think there were 50 businesses represented that evening. It was just a little get together, a little mingle, and I had done a survey. I put a survey out to all my chamber members. What do you want? What is it do you want? And when do you want to do it? What day of the week do you want to do it? What time do you want to do it? They all picked, the majority picked Wednesdays at 5:30, and they wanted business after hours. They wanted a chance to mingle. They wanted a chance to talk after work because they're so busy to do it, during the day. So we've had actually 2 successful, one in May and one in, I think it was around maybe August or September-ish. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then in November I did this year was our annual, or it's actually every other year, appreciation dinner, chamber appreciation dinner. So that was our 3rd, that counted as our 3rd mingle. So and we're actually getting ready to do another one in January, this month yet. So I think we could really up those chamber members too, but then that's why I started getting to a little earlier that after 4th of July about did me in because everybody was having festivals and things going on over the 4th. And but I stayed so busy, and it generated more business for me. And then I just kind of got, from that point on, I kind of got stuck in the office. And so I haven't had a chance to actually get out and be out as much as I had been earlier in the year, or last year, I guess now, isn't it?
Well, I appreciate you coming in. I really didn't mean to bring you in, put you on the hot seat of what your opinion was of economic development and all that. But just after I visited with you, I thought you had some good ideas, and I agree with you 100%. The people here don't want to live in Emporia. If they did, they would move to Emporia.
Exactly.
And, we have a lot of things to offer here, which I agree with you. A lot of it is, our lakes and that stuff. We're never going to have a Target distribution center and that stuff. I don't think our people want it.
No, I agree.
So, that's my point. What I found interesting in what you said was because I've been one that's kind of pushing it. I'm not sure we know where we want to go with economic development, but I feel like that combining is better for the taxpayers. They get more for their dollar maybe that way than we do having 2 different groups doing the same thing. But some of the things you said, I thought, this might be exactly what we're looking for in economic development. So I appreciate you coming in. I think you've got some good ideas. I think you've accomplished quite a bit since you've been here. So
Thank you.
I just wanted the rest of them to hear what I heard about how maybe combining is not such a bad deal. So.
No, it sounds like you've done an awesome job, and I think she'd be a perfect fit for, if we did get an economic developer working hand in hand, and that's what I'd like to see is once you do get that
person in place.
We definitely need to work together there. To me, it almost seems like, obviously, economic development is development, whereas the chamber side is more the
Promotions.
marketing and
Yeah.
promotion
Yeah.
side of what is there, and maintaining those relationships of the businesses that are here and areas that are here. But yeah, no, they definitely need to work together.
Mhm.
And we have worked together over the years.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But to me, there's a huge overlap of responsibilities for both those job descriptions. And like I said, you didn't come here to interview for the job, but you've done off a good start. And given me at
My
least,
board's
and I
gonna
think the rest
shoot
of,
me.
giving us some ideas on what we need to maybe evaluate moving forward in the next few weeks.
I'm definitely up to what, you know, to listen, see what you've got to, you know, come up with, what you think. If there's anything you want me to do, anything more, just let me know.
I agree with Bob that, you know, we're not, people don't wanna see a target or whatever, I mean, but to grow in that aspect, but I agree with what you're saying. 10 MP shields or 3 MP shields or, you know, whatever the case may be, I mean, and I believe you're exactly right about Shopko, it was a corporate decision, not just a local decision to move out, from what I heard, so.
You take the Shopko and the Walmart, you know, they were great while they were here because they employed quite a few people. But I've always said, and I think it's somewhat right, I'd rather have 10 businesses with 10 employees than with one business with 50 employees.
Mhm.
Because we see what happened when Walmart leaves, we see what happened when Shopko. You know, those hurt the community
Yeah.
because they take so many job opportunities away from us, especially Walmart maybe. But like I said, we're better off with smaller businesses. To me, they're a better fit for a county like we are.
I agree. I know over the holidays I had, well, it was, the Saturday after Thanksgiving is the Shop Local, Shop Small, event. And of course, that's the other thing, I do a lot of posting on Facebook. I share like crazy the businesses, the chamber members, their posts to make sure they're getting the word out there. And, but they, a lady commented and said, well, there's no place to shop here. Yes, there is. If you need a Walmart, go to Emporia and shop Walmart. But if you need a gift certificate for lunch or a cup of coffee, go to Vintage Sisters or wherever you want to go. There's plenty of places in town that you can still support. Yes, there may not be a Walmart here, but there's still places here that you can shop. So,
What's the thought of the commission? It sounds like there's a little bit of consensus, those two positions maybe could be put together and serve the county very, very well. Do we ask Joanne to look at the job description of our economic and see what her thoughts are, or is that too early?
Really, I didn't bring her in for an interview.
I realize that, Bob.
I brought her in, and I think she's done a good job of giving us something to think about.
Yeah,
and I think
absolutely.
we ought to thank her for coming, and then we need to think about it and have that discussion somewhere later, is what I think is, I'm not.
I know Rhonda's got some applications, if
Yeah.
you will.
I knew she had 3 last night.
She's got 4 now that
Four.
she's gonna pass them out later, and I just look at them individually.
Okay.
I believe-
Anybody have any other questions? For Joanne?
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Thanks for having me.
If not, we appreciate you coming in and
Here's my business cards. If you gentlemen don't have one,
Okay.
please feel free to take one and
Okay.
go from there. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for
Nice to
coming
see you,
in.
Joanne.
Thanks,
You
Joanne.
too, thanks.
Rhonda, what do you have for us here this morning?
Well, I have the application. I wanted to pass around first, so this has been posted below
Yeah, thank you.
for your, to look at.
Thank you, dear.
But my main reason for my trip here today is I had a resolution I needed to have passed for the, Kansas Rural Opportunity Zone, and it should be in your book. It's an annual resolution that the state needs.
I'm sorry.
9:30.
So when does When are we
We are done.
We are done,
The county's obligation is done.
okay. So, my thinking, if we're done, why do we even need to have a resolution again? Why do we even get it back into it? That was kind of what we had,
That's why we went to the $0
Had
amount
decided
before,
before,
instead of
though,
paying
that-
out the,
We still have it available for the employers if they want to participate,
right.
and this
okay.
gives them the
That
okay.
gives them that opportunity, okay.
Is anyone currently participating?
With the employers,
Yeah.
not to my knowledge.
And have they recently had anyone?
She didn't say. Rachel did tell me that they have 2 on the waiting list for the county, if we wanted to go on and continue. But if we chose not to, then they wouldn't be funded. But for the employers part of it, I don't think anybody had signed up to do it. From the employer side of it, no.
I just thought if there was no activity there and hadn't been for some time, that
Mhm.
maybe it wasn't important.
The state just wanted to have this in place,
Right.
just in case.
If we don't know, there may be a time frame when there may be of some value to it.
It could be. Mhm.
And since we're at no cost, I guess I'd have no objection to continuing it, in my opinion. Because we did vote $0 here last year or 2 years ago, I forget when we went to
Last year.
0.
Mhm.
Just last year only, okay.
Yep.
I remember that.
And I'm not against, I mean, I've never really been a big fan of this program, but I've supported it the last few years because with the $0, and that gives an employer an opportunity if they choose to do it.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, my thought is we need to continue, but that's, do I need to put a number in there? What number of resolution is it?
Do we have this from before? This is a recurring resolution.
Yeah.
Then it would be the same number with a letter behind it, so I need to go find out what that is.
I guess we go ahead and, we need to put the number in the minutes, so, yeah, I'll be back pretty quick. Have any of these applicants, and I haven't had an opportunity to look at them other than one we looked at the other day a little bit, any of these applicants been back in touch with you, Rhonda?
No.
Okay. Notice we put in various papers that are mailed out, 3 or 4 different state firms or however many there was. We didn't put an ending date on that except it would be open until such time as it's filled. And so I don't know what the thoughts are of the commission. Do you wanna take a look at these 4 and evaluate them? And select 1 or 2 of them to come in if we feel comfortable with them, or you wanna just kinda sit tight here after Joanne's presentation? I guess my suggestion, I'd probably be willing to look at these, but also to probably
Take your
take a
time.
little bit longer look and take some time.
Right.
Well, I really think we ought to sit tight
Yeah.
and decide what we wanna do before we jump in and start hiring people.
I think so too, I mean,
This way it'll let you know who's been applying.
yeah. What number do we have?
847A.
847A. Move to approve resolution number 847A, a resolution authorizing participation in student loan repayment program.
Also move.
Cody has moved, entertain a second.
Second.
Thomas second, any discussion? Or questions about the program? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0.
Okay.
Do you have anything else? All, everybody.
That's still all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming in, Rhonda.
they give you the checks?
I'm sorry?
Did they give you checks for special issues?
No, I have nothing. Mike, we're a little bit ahead of schedule, a few minutes. You're down for 9:40. What do you have for us today on
First I need
Alice
to,
training program?
yep, I need to request Wade be called in.
Okay.
Sorry.
He'll be in a minute.
Okay. While we're waiting on Wade, just wanted to kind of reminder, we've talked about the Alice training. It's coming up on next Wednesday, the 15th. I guess we never really specifically said anything about times and stuff. We kind of just assumed we was gonna do it like we did the last time and shut the courthouse down at noon.
The impression I got.
I mean, I didn't wanna assume anything, I just wanted to make sure that we was all on the same page.
That's what I wrote down anyway.
Okay, and then we're doing a lunch for our employees.
It's ordered.
Okay, Russell's got that?
Yes.
That's been taken care of, Russell?
Yes.
And then I would like to request an executive session
I have a
on,
question real quick. Does the road and bridge come up here too?
Yeah, I
or
was
is
gonna
it
bring
just
that up too,
courthouse?
I had talked to Angie a little bit, and does the commission, I assume we wanna invite road and bridge office staff, recycling and noxious weed office staff?
for the, to sit in on this and.
I would think so, just clarifying.
I mean, 'cause it's good information, it's gonna be stuff they could use if somebody went out to their building out there, if they went to their building out at the county shop. I think all county employees.
And is there somebody else I'm forgetting other than those three? Like road and bridge, recycling, noxious weed?
What about the lake?
Lake Patrol, we'll deal with all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be handled more like the deputies, I would think.
I'd like to request an executive session, over courthouse security questions, issues. And I request Wade Russell be present.
What would that be on your way?
So,
How we approach that?
request motion for commission to recess into an executive session to discuss matters related to security measures, and that's being done because the discussion of matters during an open meeting would jeopardize those security measures. Those security measures protect the public body or agency, in this particular case, public building, facility, or the information system of a public body or agency. And that's under the exception, that allows going into an executive session under KSA 754319 B12. And to even, I guess, since this is broadcast out, security means measures that protect against criminal acts intended to intimidate or coerce the civilian population, influence government policy by intimidation or coercion, or to affect the operation of government by disruption of public services, mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. Security measures include but are not limited to intelligence information, tactical plans, resource deployment, and vulnerability assessments. So, I think for the motion, it just needs to have the subsection, but, yeah, just so.
You got that recorded, Denise, so we
Yep.
know exactly what we're going into executive
I quit
session?
writing and went, we'll take that from the recording.
Thank you.
Okay.
For how long?
For how,
10 minutes.
yeah, then return back to commission chambers here. Okay, everybody's heard the motion, somebody wanna move?
I'll move.
Tom has moved, entertain a second? Second. Cody is second. Any questions or discussion?
Did that motion actually state that Mike, I didn't think it stated Mike would be in on it. the under sheriff would be in, I think it stated everyone, but.
And myself.
Yeah, I think it needs stated, but, yeah, it did state that.
Mike and Russell.
That's right, I'll leave.
Okay, we got a motion before us. Any questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go in at 9:41. Now at 9:51.
Thank you. Thought Dawn was getting that. My bad.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that on next Wednesday,
Just a second. Okay, Karen.
next Wednesday, when we're closing at noon for the Alice training, my office will need to close at 11:30 so that we'll have time to, run reports and things like that before we have to leave for lunch.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. You know, the next on our agenda is Wayne Blackburn, but we are set up for a break at 9:50, so we'll take a short break, and Wayne, hopefully Wayne will be here at 10 o'clock.
He's here right now.
Sorry?
He's here right now.
Wayne's here. We're gonna take a short break, Wayne.
Okay.
We'll be ready.
Uh-oh, must be in trouble now, you two are in here.
I'm leaving.
We all
Oh, you're
got
leaving.
there and we.
Oh,
You showed
okay.
up, boys, early.
That's good enough for me.
So he's making.
Wait, how we doing? You gonna be in a little bit, or are you gonna be busy?
Nope, I'll be.
All right, I'll just catch you after this. Thank you.
Morning, Wayne.
Morning. Hey, Russell? Just, don't leave. You can visit, just don't leave.
Okay. Here, 2 or 3 big projects, you don't know this, pretty small, much lower.
I don't know, I haven't recovered yet from all that. Scheduled that.
Oh, yeah.
Might be. Well, I need you, I said.
You mean to call him or
No,
send him a text?
No. You might want to be sure.
Well, one, we'll send out an email. He said he's gonna go around to every office about 10:30. We're gonna lock the door with the door.
No.
Maybe they're going up the elevator. Going to the elevator?
How did you figure that?
He's the traffic director.
Doing a good job.
He makes me go to the elevator.
Oh, where's the sheriff's office? Is it downstairs?
So, yeah, you wanna go down to the lobby, then go outside and then back in.
Okay. I didn't say
Wayne, do you have the numbers from 18 for the landfill, the year-end numbers?
2018?
Yeah.
Or 2019?
2018.
I don't have them with
I was
me.
just wondering how much the C&D difference was between the years.
Oh, well, with all the flooding that we had,
The hail.
that's gonna be the biggest one.
The hail, the
Yes,
roofs.
absolutely.
This year,
House has got 3 roofs on them at some point this year.
That's right.
this year will be much larger than what's been in the past. probably.
Yes, that's true.
I'm just like Cody, I like to go back, presentation, I made it to the meeting here the other day, I had 10-year history. I like to go back on history myself.
Oh, we have the history,
Yeah.
I just don't have them with me.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Okay, Wayne, we're ready for your report.
Okay. I asked Russell just to hang around. I don't know if you want to visit about this. It wasn't necessarily on my agenda, but we've talked about this before, and that was to say if we have enough people or need, or we'd reduce or not reduce. And as we were out in the hall, visited just a little bit, and they have visited about, Wolf Creek has visited about the numbers that they need for the highway department. So do you find this to be a time to visit about it, or would you like to continue this discussion, or you want to table that for a later date?
You know, the last few employees we've hired at Road and Bridge, that subject just came up, not as an issue deal, but the subject came up on, you know, what's required, if any numbers particularly required. So, you know, if there is some information that could we do have a request for a new truck driver to fill a position that's been retired.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with discussing it a little bit if you got some new information to bring forward.
Okay.
Well, there's nobody behind you, so it sounds like you can talk for 2 hours if you want.
No.
No.
Johnny opened the door, I was gonna take advantage of it. I was gonna do it.
That's the only thing wrong with putting Wayne last.
Yeah, I can talk.
We're not gonna leave that door wide open.
So, would you
Yeah,
pass
sure.
on what we discussed out in the hall?
We don't have a specific number for the county road and bridge personnel in our plan. I think 52 is the number you guys have been talking about specifically. It's more about function and those functions that you're required to perform within the county's plan. So roadblocks, detours, things like that might affect the evacuation route. So as long as you can perform all those functions with less than the 52 people, and you can prove it, you're fine. But if we come into an evaluation where FEMA comes in and we have, say, 40 people and we can't man the roadblocks that we say we can, or the evacuation routes, then you get in trouble with FEMA and you have to basically do a remediation and prove to them how you're gonna fix it and get back to being in compliance with your plan again. So a specific number of 52 for us is not written down. It's ensuring that you can meet the functions that we basically promise the public that we can, with those jobs, that kind of ancillary duties with the road and bridge if there was an event at Wolf Creek.
And so currently our 52 employees, and this would be what Russell would confirm as well, is we have, each one of our employees is assigned to a certain task for that plan. I don't believe we have very many that are a double on there.
No, there's several that have 2 jobs.
There are several that has 2 jobs, okay. So even with that, you know, it's to say, do we have enough folks to be able to do it? That doesn't take into account vacations or anything like that routinely goes on. Any given day, I'm about 10% down, and that's just the way it works. Generally, I'm about 5 or 6 people down every day due to either vacation, sick, or something of that nature. So I'm not always operating 52, and very seldom I'm operating 52 employees. But that's the reality. So at this point, I mean, are we 52 enough, or 52? If we reduce it, are we going to find ourselves in trouble?
I mean, I don't have we have a book with all the different jobs listed.
As long as we have enough people to assign to the task.
I mean, there's no magic number. I mean, 52, we feel like we can get it done. If it was reduced, there'd be more people with 2 and 3 jobs, probably, so, I mean, I like the number 52, I guess.
To me, it'd be hard to evaluate just exactly what that magic number should be.
It is, yeah, it's
Well,
impossible.
That's almost an impossible task to
It is.
pinpoint a number.
You've
Right.
proven it at 52 through several FEMA evaluations.
Right.
So your confidence that that is safe is good. You go below, like, we have things, like we do staffing studies that we're required to on our end to prove things like this. I don't know if that's really something on the county side that you guys have to do. I don't think there's
No,
any
we don't.
regulation for that.
No.
That's typically how we do it. We do a staffing study, we prove that these people, you know, in these situations can handle it. And that's how we address ours, so.
I've been in on a few of these drills, and we keep talking this 52 number. You know, when something first happens, yeah, we need 15, 20, we got, what, 2 or 3 groups from Road and Bridge teams. Okay, when something happens, we're gonna use the one team, because once that is out there, the guards do the roadblocks. Road and Bridge don't do roadblocks anymore. The guards do roadblocks.
Well, they,
So we're
they
looking-
staff.
Yeah, we're looking at a one-time thing that happens, and then it's gone. It's not like, no, we're gonna have to have another team come in and back this team up, and another team back this team up. I think that this can be done with a less number of people, and we can still be right where we need to be with FEMA. Because I don't think that it takes 3 teams to keep backing up and backing up.
We don't have 3 Road and Bridge teams.
But once
We have
things,
3 EOC teams. but we
once
do
things
not-
happen,
We do not have 3 road.
that's over.
We don't have 3 teams to do the Road and Bridge.
Don't have to pay.
There's one,
I mean, I wanna do what we need to do for Wolf Creek, whatever it takes to do it.
The Road and Bridge, the key to the Road and Bridge stuff is, there's a few jobs that come in, if you will, secondarily, but it all has to be done at once within that first 24-hour period. And then, yeah, a lot of it doesn't have to be redone, but that's the problem, is we can't get the guard. The guard doesn't guarantee to be here for 72 hours. They're gonna get here faster than that, we know that, but the Road and Bridge staff, what they do is they fill that gap between the initial call and the reinforcements coming, if you will. And that, not in roadblocks is actually a somewhat small part of it. The biggest part is the other 2 big parts is notification of special needs, and the emergency worker decon role is what 2 big things that Road and Bridge fills. The roadblocks, you know, everybody thinks Road and Bridge roadblocks. Well, yeah, they do. They go set the roadblocks, but they don't actually man the roadblocks. They'll man the access control points, and that's something we'd have to staff probably for 24 to 48 hours. The access control points, which are a roadblock, but then we have the unmanned roadblocks, and then you have the next big thing, couple things are the notifications of special needs and the emergency worker decon are the other 2 big things that Road and Bridge does. And the emergency worker decon will continue throughout the event. Could we get it augmented eventually with FEMA people or guard people or whatever? Yeah, probably, but not for several hours, and those people, several days, I mean, and those people have to be trained once they come in, because they haven't been in our facility before. So it's that initial 24 to 48 hour gap is where the Road and Bridge people are really needed. And then after that, then we go back to their somewhat normal jobs. Obviously, if a real Wolf Creek event ever happened, nobody's job would be normal anymore, but.
So how many Road and Bridge teams do we have then?
1.
So you're gonna say we're gonna send this Road and Bridge team out for 48 hours?
I didn't say that, no.
Okay, so I'm asking you,
There's
how you replace them then?
There's a emergency worker decon group, and there's ones that go set roadblocks, and there's ones that do special needs notifications, and there's 4 or 5 more that I can't come up with on the top of my head, because I didn't know we were gonna talk about this, but, the emergency worker decon group will have to be divided in at least 2 to 3 groups, and they will have to be some of them sent home, go sleep, come back, change out. The roadblocks, initially, they'll be set, and only if we change the subzones that we use, wind switches, then they'll have to go back out and reset roadblocks. So that's a one-time deal that may or may not have to be done a second time. The special needs notification is the same. It's a one-time deal. You go notify the special needs in the affected subzone. If those subzones change, then there's another set of notifications that need to be done. Road and Bridge does the special needs outside of the towns. The fire department do the special needs in town.
I just don't think there's a certain number that you can say, we've got this number, we're totally
No.
covered.
In the real deal, we wouldn't have enough, but do we have to stay at 52? No, I can't sit here and say, oh, we gotta stay at 52. No.
That's what I said, it's impossible to come up with that true evaluation number.
From our plan, could you develop a task list?
We have that.
I mean, obviously, this 52 came from somewhere the first time.
Yeah,
and
so you
get
drafted
approved.
like a plan,
But-
so.
I never came, the 52
Right.
never came from us.
No,
Right.
we had
But-
61, and then we
Yeah.
reduced down to 52, and we said 52 is about where we need to be, to stay with the plan. And so at that, it's been like that for several years.
Yeah.
But
As
we've
far as
always,
I know, ever since I've been here, I think.
yeah, so we reduced it from 61 down to 52, and 52 seems to be the spot that basically has been recognized by FEMA to pass. To lower it anymore,
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I can't say that FEMA looks at the number 52.
But we have JRMTs, which we did away with.
Right.
So, but we didn't decrease our number because we did away with that.
well,
We did
that
what-
started at 61.
Right, that's when we had 61.
Then we
And
had
that's a result of
reducing
part of
that.
getting rid of the JRMTs, is because we didn't have enough people. We didn't have enough, right, it happened after it, probably 4 or 5 years after it. But we realized, we don't have enough people to go around, and so that's why when we came to the commission today, we can't do the JRMT thing anymore. Okay, so it's a result of it. It didn't happen immediately, but it was a result.
Any other questions on, we have Matt Russell in here?
So, we have, how many volunteer firemen, I mean, are they involved in this?
Oh, yeah.
So, there's like 100, is there not?
A little over, give or take, but yeah. And they're part of the plan. They would help with, special needs in town. I mean, they'll help with whatever we ask them to, but they help with special needs in town is one of their specific jobs. If we were to decide, right now we don't, but if there was, decon needed a vehicle to add access control points, or, you know, if the Department of Ag said, oh yeah, we can wash these animals off and go ahead and move them out or whatever, the fire department would be tasked with that. They're tasked with, I believe I'm saying this right, they're tasked with, along with the special needs notification in town, they're tasked with helping people gather at the pickup points, so if people don't have transportation, and we send public transportation buses or school buses to go pick people up, they're tasked with kind of helping.
The issue with the emergency responder side of it is, regardless of the Wolf Creek emergency or not, all the other daily emergencies that they have to deal with are still gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right. And those will be at a heightened level, because people are gonna be panicking and whatever, and, you know, your level of car wrecks is probably gonna increase, your level of anxiety, just, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Any other questions or discussion while Matt and Russell are here?
I would suggest looking through our plan as far as our task list and assigned duties and requirements and what we need the county's portion to fulfill.
And then,
Next time we have a drill, I mean, and I guess I never really, I'm usually in this other room when we did that, so I never really knew, when we had that last drill, is Road and Bridge actually participating, like pretending we're setting up a barricade or pretending? So,
We do that
that's the
once.
part I don't understand.
So once,
You do
that's
that though?
once every 8 years,
Okay, all right,
FEMA comes in and actually evaluates that part, but we don't do it every time.
okay.
And then it's, you know, they don't go out and set up behind the roadblocks.
Well, no, but I mean, at
They
least
just
they
do-
could drive out to the site and say, yeah, that's what we're doing. Or-
And what we have done is said, you know, go set up 10 and start, do a stopwatch, and I don't remember the numbers right now, they can get 10 set up within like 45 minutes or something, drive time and everything, or whatever the number is, I can't remember the number. And so then off that, we extrapolate, okay, if you gotta set up 100, it's gonna take you however many hours. You know, one crew, so if we put 2 crews doing it, with each with a trailer, which we have 4 trailers,
Crew is size of,
couple of 2 guys pick up in a barricade trailer. So if we have 2 crews doing it, that's 4 guys. If we have 4 crews with 4 trailers, we'll get them set up as fast as you can, that'd be 8, just doing barricades for a couple hours or whatever. And then they can be reassigned to help with emergency worker decon or setting up, you know, detours to, you know, the road's blocked because the windmill blades across 75 or whatever. And then they're out setting up detour signs to reroute people wherever they need to reroute them. You know, they'll be used for multiple things. It's not like once they set up those barricades, okay, now you can go sit in the shop and drink coffee, which they may for a while because we don't have something for them right now, but then we may have something 2 hours from now.
Well, I appreciate all the information that's been brought forward here today. I know every time we've had a turnover of retirement or something, Road and Bridge, and the number 52 has become a little bit of a subject. I think we're more informed now than what, or speaking for myself, we're more informed now than what we was prior to this.
And
Yes, Russell.
And I can get with Amber and we can pull out the specific, some of the stuff and kind of make a little packet for the commission to kind of peruse through, so you don't have to peruse through the whole thing.
yeah, just, yeah. if you just
Unless
got
you
short-
want the whole thing.
Some sort of short version of why you're saying 52, I mean, because you need 10 for this, 5 for that, 6 for this, whatever, I just was curious. So,
Yep.
Trying to learn while I'm here.
Yep.
So if you can
Thank
take
you.
care of that, it'd be good too, Russ.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you. Sorry for catching you cold on that, but just had that discussion outside, I mean, but you were in here anyway, so, you know, I just,
I think the discussion was good and is at the right time, Wayne, so.
all right, thank you, sir.
What do you
Here's,
have for us today?
this is the 2020 project. Looks. So, from our discussion, last week, there's really nothing that's changed. I do have, on the back would be the last page, would be the summary. There's several things that's not listed in here, keeping in mind that most of these projects are actually in force, in-county forces, that does the work. But we do have several projects, keeping in mind that we have the 6 bridges, actually 7, one bridge is going to be in the city of Burlington. We also have the landfill that we'll be working on. County forces will do the dirt work, bring it to the point in which we can have a contractor come in and do the liner for cell number 4.
One question.
Yes.
Does this involve more money on Highway 50?
No.
Okay,
The
that's all I
only-
need to know. That's all I need to know.
But, I did.
understand, I know.
I did bring up that we had extra money in the asphalt fund, to which we were going to, look at,
Leveraging his matching
And
funds.
I understand that, I just wanted to know if this involved any of it.
it doesn't have a
Okay.
project for it,
Okay.
no, sir.
Okay.
Now, keeping in mind all the projects that, according to purchasing policy, shall be brought before you, even though as you're approving the plan, you'll still go through and approve the the asphalt oil, which would be the chip and seal oil, the hot mix projects that we would have, those sort of things.
And that doesn't take any of that away from us, we still have.
You still have the
Final
authority.
approval, final decision.
This is a guide of our expectations.
Same guide you had last year, and some of the projects didn't get completed because of the weather.
That is correct.
Hopefully the weather will be more conducive this year, and we're more successful in getting the projects completed, so.
Yes, sir.
Be 60 degrees on Thursday, so starting off better.
Time to start laying oil down.
It gets too hot.
We don't need 60-degree weather, that's probably one reason it's 40-degree temperature today, is probably causing a lot of flu issues. So,
We got a couple of folks too.
we need to entertain a motion to approve your 2020
Yes, sir.
plan.
In the very back page is a motion. I believe it's the same, and actually even in the book, the motion book, when the engineer's report, the motion's in there. So I apologize. Number
No,
56.
I'm not sure it's in here, so. Okay, Wayne has
This
before.
don't include your Matthias Lake.
Yes, it does.
Why am I not seeing?
Not on the summary. The summary is really taking into account other activities in addition to what's shown in the
Okay,
book.
all right, now I get it, all right.
Yes, sir. It doesn't summarize the whole book, no.
That, I'm not.
Matthias Lake was shown on one of the maps.
Yeah, I remember that. I just,
yeah.
in your summary, it didn't list it.
Yeah.
No, it's here, I'm sorry.
Overnight.
Do you have an estimated, I mean, you're gonna do this in-house,
Mm-hmm.
do you have, I know we talked about how many cubic yards of dirt, do you have
Well,
estimated how much?
for Matthias Lake, I'm gonna pull back from memory that's over a year old. When we talked about Matthias Lake in 2019, I believe I had about $120,000 that was set aside for Matthias Lake, and that was to do the dirt work. Is that correct?
If I remember right, it was in that 1.5 range, but that's memory also.
Your dirt work and your pipes and labor and...
That was including what we figured the cost would be, yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Go ahead, Lynn.
Does this include the parking lot out here?
No, it does not. That would be something that, I feel that we need to have a discussion with, because, we just don't have the time to do it.
Okay.
But I'd like to have that discussion with Angie later.
Okay.
Now, I know you referenced, you know, when I've made comments before about, you know, the economics of doing some things in-house.
Mm-hmm.
I had the terminology, how I was gonna express
Okay.
clarify myself, I should say. I guess what I'm saying is like the recycling, you know, if you take and do a project for him, and it basically, you know as well as I do, you can't do some things as cheap as a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're gonna take $20,000 out of his budget, when really he only needed 10 out of his budget, that's the only reason I say that. You know, so like if the courthouse parking lot's gonna come out of your budget, I'm fine.
It won't come out of my budget.
It's not coming out of his.
Well, it
That's
can.
what I'm trying to
yeah,
say. I mean, if we're gonna, to justify your budget, if we're gonna do something for some other department and take 2-3 times more money to do it and take it out of their budget, then I don't agree with that. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I gotta compliment you, Tom, is the fact is that we've had discussions on this, and I believe it made us all realize that, Road and Bridge does not need to do all of this work, as it has been in the past. Road and Bridge was always tasked with these extra projects. Mine is, that it does, you know, there are times in which Road and Bridge, you know, should do those type of projects.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd say too, that when we're looking at 2019 and 2020 meaning that now we're picking up projects in 2019 that we were not able to finish, we're gonna be pretty busy in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are any of those type of projects, then I feel that those probably need to be looked at as possibly outsourcing, that work.
Well, therein would lie the reason why I asked, you know, how many cubic yards of dirt at Matthias Lake and what your estimated cost was, because after you told me that 7,000 cubic yards, I kind of put together my own little assumption of what it probably would cost if you hired a contractor, and we're not much different, I don't think, so. Just my quick analysis.
As far as what the prices were?
Yeah, so. Just clarifying myself on that.
Mhm. There is one thing, you know, when we're talking about 52, I don't wanna go back to a lot of that, but I'd say that, you know, you're looking at something that actually was studied with KDOT. KDOT looked at, and they said that there's one fundamental function that needs to be evaluated, and that was snow and ice removal. And that was one that they could not replace as far as outsourcing. And so, having our folks, not only for the Wolf Creek, we also have our folks that basically do other things within the county, that basically add to the safety, and that's our goal. And so there is that as well. So some of these dirt projects and such as that, it's still projects that we can do because we have the staff, because we need them for other things, and that's where we'd be at.
The only thing I can see about Matthias Lake, if the farmer decides to take the dirt and spend a whole lot of time out in the field, I can hear some citizens jump up and down.
We have to find a balance, but it is the property within that right-of-way is the landowner's property to the section line. The use of that right-of-way is for public use as far as a highway. But the ground can go back to the landowner, and that's how we try to make it. Unless it's basically something that we need, then we can, and we have a use for it, then we would keep it. But otherwise, it always goes back to the landowner.
That particular project out there, as flat as it is there for 2.5 miles, it's gonna be hard to put it on the field.
All of it, yes.
You have to be careful, you'll create more issues for the farmer than what we're trying to solve, but good drainage, so.
There's some low areas that we're looking at, and that would be the only place to put
Careful about
them.
what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Wayne does have a motion based 2019-56, based on recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve the county engineer's request to approve the 2020 construction project plan. Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Cody has moved, entertain a second.
I'll second.
Fred is second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. So hopefully the weather is cooperative this year where you can
Yes.
make this all happen.
We do as well.
So Wayne has,
The next one would be to fill, as I came in here last week, is we do have a retirement announced, and it is a truck driver position. And so with this retirement, we'd like to go ahead and start the process of filling that position. And that would be for advertising and hiring a full-time truck driver.
okay. Wayne has before us a motion 2020-01. Based on the recommendation of the county engineer, move to approve the request for authorization to advertise and hire a full-time truck driver. This request is to fill a vacant position due to a retirement.
Have you posted this in-house?
Well, after this motion, I will. It'll post in-house, then if we can't fill it in-house, then it'll post out.
Are you gonna post it in-house before you advertise?
Always, yes, sir.
So, because you may be advertising for something else besides a truck driver.
That is correct. That is correct. And with that point being taken, if we fill it in-house and it's an equipment operator versus a truck driver, then I'll be coming back asking for an equipment operator.
I'll move. Fred is still moved. Entertain a second. also move. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. This is the first motion in 2020. Approving the 2020 construction project, should that have a 2020 motion or is?
Actually, we tabled it from last week.
Okay, I
I
forget.
thought about that too.
Yeah. I do remember we talked, but we didn't take action, so.
Yes, sir.
What else do you have for us, Wayne?
Well, one would be construction zone, and then the other would be, to follow up on the community planning project. But construction zone, I just go through there, pretty explanatory. We are not finished, mowing back. We do have, some work around Old 50 and then also around the city of Burlington right now. And our territories are still working on theirs as far as mowing back. We are working to finish the guardrail over on 22nd, from Juneberry to Capper. We have the ditch clean as listed, and there is a possibility that we'll be working with the fire district to move those storage containers possibly this week. If not, we'll be looking at it next week. But Randall said that they do have the columns, the footings poured, and so they are ready to start setting those containers. So that's what we have. I have visited also with FEMA over phone conference call today, this morning actually, and so we'll have a representative here on the 15th next week that I'll be visiting with. I have a meeting with, and it's to lay out the groundwork and the expectation of documentation. Keeping in mind that reported here last week, I have close to $1 million. We will show the documentation up to that. It's not to say that we're going to get $1 million, but it's to show that we do have documentation up to that amount with the categories that they allow. And so we'll be starting that process with FEMA. The other one would be the last one, unless you have any questions on construction zone. Then I would like to go ahead and give you my report on the community planning for projects for Coffee County. This is a continuation that we've been working on. So I went to each one of the cities, and I was asked to actually find support from the cities where the city would actually support the community planning. So did it, and I asked them to give it to me as a motion. So I do have a motion from each one of the cities. They all, Leroy, Burlington, Gridley, New Strong, Waverly, and Lebo, all support the community planning. Went to each one of the meetings. Also, I was asked to see their selection of which consultant that they would prefer. Knowing that the commission would be making the final decision, that they all understood that, so it was not a motion, but rather a consensus from the council. So right now, believe it or not, it was tied. We have 3 of the cities that prefer Cook Flat as their first choice, and then we had 3 of the cities that preferred BG as their first choice. We have BG Consultants, Cook Flat, and Schwab Eaton was the 3 that presented. I would ask your guidance in being able to continue to move forward with this. My recommendation would be, since we do have a tie, unless you have one that you would just like to say, let's go ahead and use this one consultant, then my recommendation would be to have Cook Flat and Schwab Eaton at a scheduled time and come and visit with you. But how would you like to move forward?
You mean Cook Flat and B&G?
Cook Flat. I did say Schwab Eaton, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Thank you very much.
I thought it was just me.
That was good. Yeah,
Cook Flat and B&G.
that was fun.
What do you say, what you said again?
Well, to move forward, I would recommend Cook Flat and BG to come in and do a presentation for you, or you could Did I say it right this time? I did, okay.
I say to me,
Well-
those were my top two anyway,
Mhm.
so, I mean.
Flip a coin.
flip a
Who were
coin.
second choices?
I don't,
They were opposites,
Opposite again?
yeah, yes, they were. The
I
only
don't
one that
know.
was, Schwab Eaton, I think second choice.
one thing I can say is some of the people at one of the areas I was at, it really wasn't a unanimous decision of the board. One person spoke for the board at that time on a choice might be, because later in the after the meeting, some of them got to me and said, wait a minute, this wasn't really, so.
Well, it wasn't a motion,
It
so it
wasn't,
really,
it wasn't a motion, it was just a person speaking.
yeah, it
And
really
one
wasn't a
person
motion.
spoke and no one else really said anything because they wasn't real sure what was going on, so.
Well, then I leave it to you for your guidance. When I had the discussion with them, I felt that it was, presented in a way that they were to try to come up with a consensus, without a motion. But at the end of it, it's still your decision, that's what you had made clear, it's still your decision, so it's still you to make the decision of which one you'd like to work with.
Do we have a projected cost on each one of these?
We do from the initial presentation, and I think they were both under 60,000.
They were both fairly.
Yes,
fairly accurate.
they were close.
What's the consensus of the commission? Do you wanna go ahead and select one at this time, or you wanna ask them to come back in and re-present their program?
I heard their program, I don't know if it's
I don't know if
necessary
it's
to
necessary to revisit.
keep dragging it back to.
I have no problem at all with selecting one, so it's whatever the
Then
decision is of the five commissioners.
If I remember right, yours was Cook Flat, your preference.
No, I stated BG.
Okay.
I
No, at
stated
the very
BG.
beginning, when you came in, you made the comment, I don't know if we have it on tape to see, but you made the comment that I think Cook Flat would do us the best job, and I'm gonna recommend BG.
No, what I said was Cook Flat, basically, and I said this to all of them, is Cook Flat in their presentation represented my view of what we were expecting. I felt that they had the presentation more on target of what we were looking at. But then I stated that BG has been a company that we have done a lot of work with within our region. And so, that was my recommendation.
And some of the people from the councils that I talked to, at meetings I was at, actually thought that, because of that Cook Flat would be better, it might be better if we brought a new face in, a new set of eyes in to look at some of this stuff, because even if they do projects, they can still go out and get BG, whoever they want. Bring a new set of eyes in instead of the ones who have been looking at these communities forever.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting a new set of eyes involved. That's left up to the direction of the commission.
I don't have a preference. I mean, I've worked with both firms in my career, so, I've done a lot of work with B&G and Cook Flat, so I guess, I don't know how else to do it other than show of hands, who all flip a coin.
Flip a coin, I mean, we're down to it, I don't know.
Yeah, just get
Again,
one,
I have
pick one and go.
I have no preference either way, they both presented well, we've worked with both in the past.
Yeah, but no, nothing against either one.
Somebody
Just,
wants to take the lead and make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we proceed with Cook Flat Strobel.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion to proceed with Cook by Tom, seconded by Bob. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think, any, against or opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Okay.
Could
So-
you clarify that motion for me just a little bit, to select Cook, Flat, and Strobel as the contractor?
Engineering firm for the Communities Improvement Program, is that correct?
Yes, and that would be the community planning program.
Okay.
And what we're doing is selecting them to enter into a contract. Now, what they'll need to do is they'll bring a contract, and then the terms of the contract you'll agree to.
Right.
And have to come to a decision at that point to agree to it, and then at that point, you'll make a motion to sign the contract.
Right.
So all you're doing is entering into, a contract or presenting a contract.
Making a selection of the vendor.
Making a selection, yes. So.
But Tom, I'm glad you made a motion, because I had one community wanted this, another community said this.
Yeah, nobody's gonna agree.
My vote was gonna have to be, where am I going?
So.
What else do you-
Down the road.
Tom, I'm ready to flip a coin, but I can't change my pocket.
Well, what I'll do at this point is, as I say, is I'll contact Cook Flat, and then, schedule a time that would be convenient for you, and they would come in with a contract and to discuss basically the terms and the expectation of what the contract would consist of, and then their pricing accordingly. And then at that point, you would enter into, if you agree to it, then you'd enter into a motion to agree to the contract and the terms of the contract. So, that's where we'd be at.
Just to refresh, this is probably gonna take a year.
Yes, sir.
Basically, even before we get, basically a lot.
Maybe longer.
Maybe longer, but I mean, it's gonna take probably a year close to get all these communities figured out and just what's going on.
Well, I believe it will take, and this is what I had represented with the communities, I believe it's gonna take a year to have basically the documentation in front of you of the plan. So I do believe that. I see where we could potentially start, come this spring, to start having the meetings. And this is gonna be meetings, that involve the community to come in and visit with them, to start collecting the data. And that in itself, yes, will take a year, probably to finish up. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Wayne, on the Lakeview drainage, I haven't talked to Eric Bluey for some time, but we're getting into the rainy season here in about 90 days. Any idea how quick the funding will be available from FEMA? Do we have any direction? I know they've retained, I understand they've retained an engineer out of Topeka or someplace.
You made the choice to stay this time.
They had Cook Flat. Cook Flat was, basically, they entered into a contract with Cook Flat. And so they also, got an agreement, right-of-way, access agreement, from the landowner. And so I believe that's where they're at right at this point. I believe they had some funds to get started.
They've got, last time I knew, they had right around $30,000 worth of funds, which won't complete that project, and that project probably needs to be completed maybe the first before you get into the rainy season.
Mm-hmm.
So FEMA money's undoubtedly gonna be somewhat later than that, but we have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to entertain that down the road if we need to provide some funds.
And that's where they would need to come before the commission, I would feel,
Okay.
to have that discussion with you.
And that discussion will take place later. But it's also, they can't put it off too much longer either.
No, but they started the process with the consultant to be able to get the permitting, because there will be permitting that's required. And plans accordingly to be able to get the permits approved. And then after that, I believe they do have a site for dirt, to pull from. And they had a preliminary plan of what they're wanting to achieve. So.
Yeah. I know they're working on it, so.
Mhm.
Anybody else have anything for Wayne? If not, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give us the update. Russ, I see you come back in with some material.
So here's the short list, or I don't know about short list, but the list of tasks that for Road and Bridge as far as Wolf Creek related. And so on the first page, you got the, Emergency Operations Center, 3 teams, that takes 3 people. And the county shop, those are, some front office staff to help track, and Wayne may have to help me fill in some of these
that's the front office staff would help track, like, you know, where roadblocks have been placed and what crews are putting out the roadblocks and just coordinating everything, who's where. And then as it says, they can also help with decontamination. Then you got the decon teams, or decon staffing, and you really need at least 4 per team, so you really just have 2 shifts there. Or I should say 4 per shift, not per team, but per shift. Then you got the access control people that would be doing the setting up and staffing the access control points. The more access control points you put out there, obviously the more people you have to have staffing. Then I know some of these people have recently retired. Obviously this list hasn't been updated yet, but yeah, you can only do so much, keep ahead of it so much. Then there's, you know, 4 slated for ice control. If it's not icy, obviously they can be reassigned to do something else, and there'll be other things for them to do. They would probably be helping with decon, for example. Then you got notification of special needs, the transportation assistance centers. So essentially those are people, you know, if there aren't school bus drivers to drive the school buses, that's another job that Road and Bridge is tasked with, is driving the school buses to haul people that don't have their own transportation. You know, hopefully with Coffee County Public Transportation, you know, we have them, we are integrating them into the plan, and, you know, so that will help relieve that a little bit. It's not just on Road and Bridge anymore. We have another resource there that we're using. And then on the second page is it used to be mostly blademen. I think it's a variety now, but those are the ones that are assigned to go out into the county and knock on doors, and, you know, if people need help getting out of their houses, you know, elderly or handicapped or whatever, that's their primary assignment. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Any questions or discussion?
No, thank you. That helps me understand what you all are telling me, so very much, thank you.
Yeah, you'll have to make some updates.
Yeah.
Okay. Also appreciate you giving us this information.
Yep.
Give us the update on the follow-up of the discussion we had here some time ago.
I'll try not to mention it again.
What's that?
I said I'll try not to mention it again.
No problem.
Not till next week, anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep.
That takes care of the agenda that we had today. I've asked Donna to see if Wade has anything for roundtable. Angie, do you have anything for roundtable?
Yeah, we missed a couple of resolutions last week on getting the wording correctly. It was resolution 816F and 731-0. When Donna put them together, they said general fund dash economic development on one, and it should just be economic development, and then general fund dash road and bridge, and it should just say road and bridge. And on the other one, it said general fund dash health, and it should just say health, and then general fund dash employee benefits, and it should just say employee benefits. On that front page, you guys didn't sign anything. It'd be the second page, so are you okay with her just correcting those, or do you want the whole thing redone to re-sign?
Correct. I'm okay, correct.
Okay.
I have no problem just,
So on 2 resolutions, Donna, the funds were, we missed that they should just say like health instead of general fund dash health, and they said you can just correct the front page, they don't need to re-sign.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to give me those corrections whenever. The other thing I had was, we've got some special issue checks that we're gonna need this week to mail out. One for MediaCom, the payment's due the 12th. One for commercial cards, it's due on the 17th. One for Republic Services, which is our trash company, it's due on the 14th. And one for Verizon, the due date's the 15th. We're in the middle of closing out right now. Everything's balanced, and so we've got to go through that process. So I don't know, do you want to come in to sign these 4, or do you want us to use your stamped on, and then we'll sign the vouchers next week?
What day would they be available to sign a,
It's gonna depend on when we completely get closed out,
will it be available tomorrow?
possibly.
I gotta run to Burlington, I'll be in Burlington tomorrow, and I can
Okay.
be in that, I can do it in the morning or afternoon, either way.
Okay, we can give you a call if that's
Give
okay.
me a call.
And so, like I said, it's just MediaCom, which is a standard,
Yep.
a credit card for economic development, that won't be much. Republic Services is our trash company, and then a Verizon phone.
Okay.
And I can have you guys all sign the vouchers next
Okay.
week, if that's okay.
Will that work for all the commissioners, if I come in tomorrow afternoon and sign those, if they're, and if not, I can make Wednesday work.
Okay.
It doesn't matter for us, we're not the ones doing it.
I realize that, yeah.
The last thing I have.
I don't wanna issue a check and you guys don't sign off on it behind me.
No.
Wade, do you have anything for us today?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to request an executive session. Request someone make a motion for the board to recess into executive session to discuss, with myself and, the treasurer, ongoing county litigation for matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client privilege, KSA 75-4319 B2,
Information's also in
and the
there.
commission. And although I haven't gotten a hold of them, probably need to get David Seeley on the line as well.
How long a time, Wade?
At least 15 minutes, and it may drag on after that, but we'll have to reconvene, and if we need to, we'll just request more time.
Start with 15 minutes.
You wanna get him on the phone before we go into it?
That would probably make it smoother.
I'd say it was a minute or two or three or four.
Yeah.
Do you have a phone that you're using in here? That one?
And I
Thanks
don't
for
know if any
coming.
of us know how to use it, but it's there.
Alright.
Use it intelligence.
It's easy. If you have to go. at about
9 and
nine or
then-
something.
9-1 and the number.
But then. See, I found mine first. Look at that, that's true. No. Robert's phone thinks they're on the phone anymore, do they? Robert? There you go.
Like our phone number at home, it used to be one long and two shorts.
That was a long time ago.
That's what we have.
Good morning, please and doing.
Good morning. Dave Seeley, please?
Yes, just one moment.
Hey Dave, Wade Bowie in Coffee County. How you doing? I'm in with the commissioners. I've requested, that someone make a motion to go into an executive session, and I requested you be a part of that. So if you have a few minutes? Okay. You'll hold just a minute while, someone makes a motion, and, if that's what they wanna do, and we'll be with you in a minute.
I'll make that motion, Don.
Okay, Bob is so moved to go into executive session for what's been stated, including Karen, Wade, and Dave and the commission, and return back to this Lawton Chambers. Entertain a second. Tom, second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried 5-0. We're going to 10:51, did just now switch. 10:51, come out 11:06.
We're not in yet, wait. I didn't want you to say anything.
Let me see what we have, because it may just be 2 pages of the same thing. So that one's the right way. I thought it collated it for me, but it didn't.
Okay, David, we are in. Wade, we're.
So we're gonna come out and make a new motion, someone's gonna make a new motion.
How long do you suggest?
15 again.
There'll be another 15.
We're gonna have to go back in again. You think 15 is long enough, and then you realize you need 30, but.
Okay, we're gonna go back in for 15 minutes for the same reason, with the same people, and to come back here to the commission chambers. Somebody wanna move?
I'll make a motion.
Cody has moved. Entertain a second. Fred is second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Okay, we're gonna just slip to 11:07, so we'll go into 11:08. Come out 11:23.
That's still off, isn't it?
Yeah.
One thing about it, there shouldn't be a question when we do something, because we got 3 different people writing it down.
Okay, David, we are back in executive session.
Now, Dave.
We'll be in touch, Dave.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
You want this back, Ray?
Yep.
Is that all of them?
So,
Wade, do you have anything else for us today?
No, not for today.
Angie, you have anything?
The only other thing was, that resolution 850, that on the solid waste closure care fund, establishing that. Wade's working on the rest of the verbiage on that, so that's why, and that's what he said to do last week, to go ahead and.
Yep, I'm working on the specific wording of that to make sure it complies with what it needs to comply with, and I'll have that. I planned on having it today for you, but I got pulled into something else, so.
Okay.
That's
Anything
all
else?
I have.
Fred, do you have anything?
no, I don't.
Tom?
It's been a year already.
Okay, it don't seem possible, does
That
it?
went by fast. Reading over state statute as far as powers of the Board of County Commissioners. To contract for the protection and promotion of public health and welfare. That's where I go back to helping, I know a lot of people don't agree with this, helping the housing authority clean up properties for public health and welfare, as well as economic development, in my opinion. I wish you guys to be open-minded about that. We represent the county to have the care of county property and the management of businesses concerns of the county in all cases. Basically, in my opinion, all properties the taxpayers own are our responsibility. With this being a new year, I mean, I checked several other counties, and the part of janitorial and maintenance staff falls under the direction of the commission. I heard tell that it used to be that way, but with a lot, Angie has a lot on her plate. I think if we took that back to us, it would possibly help with her situation, her son being ill, or his condition, I should say, sorry.
Have I said
So
that?
I would like to make a motion to put the supervision of janitorial and maintenance staff in the hands of the commission.
Can I ask a question? Have I ever said that I'm unable to take care of that?
No?
Because I'd like to know where this come from. I mean, all at once, we never discussed it, and all at once we're making a motion to.
Well, we can discuss it now.
Is it not working the way that it's being done?
Well, again, that's a new year. She's got a lot on her plate, election's coming up.
I can see where it might reduce the stress level, because she does do a lot of different jobs.
Yeah, she's got a lot on her plate, she got a lot. I mean, I read over her responsibilities too. She was not, I don't remember seeing one in there where actually the maintenance of this courthouse and or other properties is hers, but I don't mean that in a bad sense. I'm just, like I say, most all the other counties that I looked up, I mean, it's either under Public Works, which would be Wayne, or the commission.
Is there somebody in charge of maintenance in those situations appointed to be the supervisor over the department of 3 or 4 employees that they may have? Or in some counties, there may be a lot more employees than.
Well, again, I think the Public Works would be like Wayne, but I mean, you know, that's just advised only. I mean, I believe they're self-supported individuals that know what's going on and know what to do.
Okay, Tom has made a motion. Do you want to restate how that?
I would just make the motion that the janitorial and maintenance staff be under direct supervision of the county commission, and if we need a head to appoint them to contact, I'll be that person.
I don't agree that we have one county commissioner that's gonna tell our employees what to do and what not to do. It's gonna be under the commission. It's
I'm
gonna
not
have to
gonna
come,
tell them
have
what
to
to
come to
do.
the commission. And I see that, I'm thinking, I don't know what's going on, but I don't think what's happening has been not working.
Well,
As a commissioner, I don't wanna be the manager of a janitor.
And whether one person could even be a manager or not.
It wouldn't be any
I'm not
different than another department or a department head. You'd have somebody in charge of it. And you may like this part, Bob. How many people do we pay part-time to clean other facilities?
Quite a
I mean,
few.
we got a lot of different people that we pay to clean here a couple hours a week, and here a couple hours a week, and here a couple hours a week.
Yeah.
And we already had a lot of discussion as far as insurance on that too, and who's covered, what's covered, where, and
Yeah, I talked
why
to
and
Bobby,
not.
she's looking at that.
So how's it gonna change that? Cause
Well,
the
no,
ones that
I'm-
work here still need to be here.
Right. but is it not, maybe we need a janitorial crew that cleans all that, and it's done, it's one, we have a set system and procedures, and we have some uniformity to it.
Well, I don't think you have to actually tell them what to do. I think they know what they're supposed to do. It's just they've got somebody they can go to in case they have an issue.
Can I ask, when have they not been able to come to me and ask? I mean, I constantly communicate with them. I don't understand what is going on here, really. I have Charlene as my head janitor, and, she reports to me, the other janitors report to me, and Barb directly reports to me, so.
They all report to you individually, Angie?
Yeah, anytime they need to, and
Okay.
they've been doing their jobs for many, many years, and it's been running fine, so I'm just kind of perplexed as to what's going on with this.
I guess my concern is if something comes up Thursday, the janitor needs to know something, who are they gonna get a hold of?
That's what I was gonna ask, Wade, where do we go to in the leader, the department head of this department if we do make a change?
I don't think, I mean, having a commissioner as the point of contact probably isn't I think that creates its own dilemma. If that were something that you were wanting to entertain, you potentially need to have a separate, I guess, department with an internal department head who would then be the one who would then have the decision-making capacity similar to other departments. What I might suggest is, because this is being brought up, as it relates to the salary study / HR audit, that may be something that could be brought up as a part of that process, if, depending on how the commission wanted to go. Once that gets moving, it would be ripe, since it's being brought up now, and then to not know how exactly those departments operate in these other counties, maybe to get a little bit more information, I don't know. But
well, I spoke with two, and they basically said that, well, one in particular said that, they appointed one commissioner that the janitorial maintenance staff report, or, you know, if they have an issue, they call them and they work it out as to how to resolve that issue, so.
I know a lot of the smaller counties like ours, the clerk is the one in charge of maintenance and janitorial.
Yeah, and I don't know.
None of the ones I spoke with were smaller counties, like I say, 3 of them was commission, one was public works, and public works I would assume being approved and agreed.
We got a motion on the floor, we've had a lot of discussion, so I probably didn't carry that out to be maybe not the right process or procedure. Entertain a second to the motion. And I'll ask 3 times. Entertain a second to the motion.
Does it have to be seconded before discussion?
You know, I'm not sure the correct procedure. We've already had some discussion. To me, the discussion probably ought to come after the second, but that may be a wait question.
If it's all right now, I'll discuss it some more. I was thinking that if we were to be in agreement on this issue, I would be more in favor of that being an independent department, such as Wade suggested, with an internal head of the department.
To me, that'd probably be the best direction to go, Fred. Have an individual department and one person, instead of being a commissioner, oversee that department.
Well, I kinda agree with something that Wade said, is too, we're spending all this money on this deal, but we don't seem to wanna wait and find out what happens. We just wanna jump into things and do it before, and then if it comes back, then, well, we've made the mistake. So if we're spending this money to do all this, why don't we kinda wait and see what comes out of this audit? They're supposedly auditing basically the overall procedure of this county. I mean, they may come up with a recommendation, they may not, I don't know. But I'm just not for just jumping into something because somebody wants to do it.
I'm not sure the wage study will break out where we need to go into a brand new department.
No.
To me, they're not
I'm
gonna
not suggesting
recommend they're
anything
not
like
going
that.
into another department. To me, that's probably still our decision.
I'm not suggesting anything like that as far as the wages. I was gonna also make a suggestion that we, you know, until the study was done, that, you know, we kinda just put kind of a freeze on things because, I mean, even as far as cost of living, so this salary study's gone, but they're done with, but, I mean, we actually started this discovery on the salary study and soliciting for this 8 months ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how long this was drug on. So, I don't see anything wrong with make a decision and move. So, it can be in its own department, whatever. Like I say, several I spoke with mentioned, we are in charge of properties belonging to the county.
Well, I don't think Tom's suggestion was an implication that things weren't working now. I think the motivation was that maybe we needed to relieve the clerk of extra duties. But that's up to all of us, how we feel about that.
And
That was mine.
if I felt like
Go.
I was overwhelmed by that, and I came to you and said that, I could understand, but just to, I mean, nobody's even talked to me about this, and I just don't understand, I guess.
Okay, I need to ask, I'm gonna ask again for a second to the motion that's on the floor. I know I visited with some employees not very recently that I don't get a response to my questions. Whether that's a reason we need to go a different direction, I don't know for sure, although I've kind of got my mind made up. And based on some of the discussion I've had, I'm gonna go ahead and second the motion. Is there any other discussion?
I just want to throw out that, and I guess it's more a complaint here, earlier in the year, I made a motion for a hospital appointment. There wasn't a second on it, and you as chairman says, being no second, motion died. Here you are, sitting here, and you've been begging for a second for
Well,
10 minutes.
Technically, and I don't know what the rules are, but the policies, procedures I've always been under, you ask for a second 3 times.
We didn't before. This is the first we've ever done that.
I've asked for a second the last time 3 times. Correct, Cody?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I've always asked for a second 3 times. To me, that's procedure, and whether that's in the statutes or not, I can't answer that. Any other discussion? Okay, we got a motion on the floor in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried 4-1.
Second thing I'd like to bring up is last week we signed a voucher for $1 for an individual that got shorted $1 on a pay voucher of $20 to eat at Olive Garden for lunch. Now, last year, Wade gave us the federal per diem rates for meals and lodging. I'd like everybody to consider adapting some sort of maximum we would pay for lunches. To go back to expenditures and why we can't spend a certain amount of money to help the housing authority or economic development or whatever, but when you look at, when I look, go back over the year of what we spent paying somebody to eat, to spend the night, 40,000 would be a drop in the bucket to the housing authority for what we spent. So, again, something to consider for next week's discussion if you wish, but I can find the updated federal per diem rates. I guess this is 2018, so there's certainly an updated schedule there somewhere.
I know there's a lot of businesses, a lot of companies that have people on the road. Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but most of the situations they put on a per diem. You know, $50 a day, they can spend it however they want to for food and over and above the room and board that, not a room that night.
When we did the Wolf Creek drill, that lady from, can't remember her name, that sat in there with us, she was with the federal government.
Oh, yeah.
With NRC. That's what she said. That's why they had to stay at a certain hotel, because it wouldn't exceed their allotted rate, and they had to eat at certain places because it wouldn't exceed their allotted rate. So you know, I think we ought to consider that. You know, as far as balancing or helping with the county's budget and expenditures, I think it'd go a long ways with taxpayers.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question there's gonna be some good discussion on that topic. As many of our employees that are on the road for training, educational purposes, pretty well got an open checkbook when it comes to.
Yeah, and even some of the, you know, and I don't always agree with the philosophies of some of them, I'm an elected official, I can do what I want type thing either. I mean, so that's why I go back to, I think we need to freeze county wages just till we get this salary study done, see where we sit. Be really nice.
Where are we on, didn't we rebid the salary study?
We had a target date of the 10th or whatever, maybe the 13th of January, but with Wade, you know, being fully loaded with some other responsibilities, I'm not sure where Wade's at on getting the information out to Rick.
We got it out, and the deadline's still the 10th. We got it taken care of.
Yeah, the 10th's on Friday.
So hopefully by this Friday.
We'll have something to discuss on Monday.
I knew we set a target date, but I didn't know where he was able to get the information out.
He got it done before he left.
Yeah.
It was done. Donna helped get it sent out, and either it's coming to me or coming to Donna, so that the information packet, whatever they send, and I don't know if any of them have come back in or not, but
I haven't seen any.
it's only Monday. So, the last go round they came in some on the day of and some Wednesday or Thursday. The only thing I'll mention about what Tom was just talking about, as it relates to lodging for training, I'm not sure what the cap is, either on the federal side or the state side, but what I would mention is a lot of trainings have a block of rooms reserved for wherever that training is going to occur. And if you have to book a hotel at a different facility, that may create its own logistical issue. Part of the issue is being able to be within that same facility, and I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but as I was thinking about it, well, you potentially create a whole nother issue, at least on the lodging side.
Save $10 on a hotel room to spend $200 on a rental car.
Yeah, so.
Where you may not need one in the first place.
Mr. Chairman, can I comment to that?
Yes, Karen?
Just from a safety aspect, if I prefer to stay at the hotel that my meetings are, just from the safety aspect, for me not to have to travel back and forth between different hotels, I usually try to. So far, I've been lucky enough to always be able to get a room where they've had a block of rooms set out. And I think most of our organization tries to bid that out and get the best deal they can for a room. I mean, I don't think they're, huge rates or anything like that. I think it depends on the area and everything like that. But just from a safety aspect of being able to have your meeting and, if they have a banquet or anything and you're there and it's late, not to have to go out and about again.
Yeah, if you stay at a discount hotel and you have to travel across town, depending on where it might be.
No, I get that part, but I go back to where I'm saying, we spent $20 for somebody to go eat lunch, and he only got 19 on his pay voucher and needed another $1. And then, I've seen Red Lobster, Twin Peaks, Texas Roadhouse. I mean, I don't know. Those are places I go to eat when I splurge.
And the policy references reasonable, if I remember right.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Redefine reasonable.
Yeah.
I would say on that, one of your predecessors, we got into this comment before since I've been here. What's reasonable for you may not be reasonable for me. So who am I to sit here and tell you what's reasonable in your life? But we also had an issue where some guy was wanting to charge us $60 for a meal one night too. And we said, no, we're not gonna do that. But I think instead of we jump right on and make a motion to do something else again, we probably need to discuss most of this stuff before we do it. So we need to figure out what is reasonable and what's, does it apply to Karen staying in the same hotel for safety reasons or whatever it might be? Or are we gonna make her run across town because she's $2 over what we want to allot?
And a big
I'm not-
question
I'm
for
not
whatever
too-
consultant we may go with in the wage and compensation study. When we go through the policy manual.
Again, it's
Good
good to look at.
discussion, part of that.
As a department head and elected official, I fully agree with the per diem on food, just.
And the problem is when does that come into place? I mean, if somebody's running maybe out of the county and they get snacks over in Garnett at the gas station instead of planning ahead.
Well, the KAC, when we go to those, at the banquet, the room, everything involved. Has our meal there, so we don't have to concern ourselves with it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the same
and
ours.
some of ours do that, some of them don't, but.
Again, maybe it's just something that, I don't know, just needs to be visited.
Yeah. In my opinion, as far as the motel part of it, or hotel, whatever it may be, I'd strongly recommend staying in the same facility that the training's taking place in.
I'd have to agree with that.
And some of those facilities might have a $200 a night charge, some of them may have $100, some of them may $250. In my opinion, whatever that is, as long as it's fair, it's to stay in that same facility for safety's sake. Because we know what goes on anymore. Tom, you have anything else?
No.
Bob?
I just wanna make sure that we made the motion. Angie is no longer in charge of janitors or anything right now.
we didn't put a specific date on that.
We made the motion.
We made a motion as of today,
Okay.
so. I'm not exactly sure how to make a statement or a comment. Tom, do you want to visit with those 4 or 5 individuals? Sure. And we still got some decisions to make on how we're gonna proceed ahead.
Yes. Like I say, I think.
And bring some information back.
I think we're self-supporting.
And bring some information back to us. Okay, Cody, you have anything else?
Nothing new.
And I don't have anything over and above what's already been discussed here today. Other than we got, well, Donald mentioned that, we got the legislature session at 10:30 Friday. Correct?
Mhm. And then also, there was, put a memo in your, and I think I forwarded it to your email, if you want to participate in the employee blood draws.
Okay.
That's Thursday, and you'll need to, get with the health department to set up an appointment.
You have anything else?
I do. On your sheet that Karen provides, the Coffee County fund balances that she hands out. Okay, are there any funds in particular that you would like added to that you'd like to see? I noticed there was one you might want to add, the Solid Waste Closure Care Reserve Fund, since you just set that up, you might want that on there.
I don't know, but since you mentioned this, I think we need to take janitorial out of the clerk's office, off of their budget. You shouldn't have to pay for it.
I think it is a separate
It is a
line
separate,
item
it is a
in the
separate line
general.
item, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it's a separate line item.
And who do you want handling the courthouse general fund then?
I'm sorry.
Who do you want handling the courthouse general fund?
Would that decision be made, would that change that?
Well, I mean, typically, any of the expenditures that came in, I would sign off on and
Well, with the new department created, there's gonna be a supervisor of that department. Wouldn't they sign off on that?
on some of it, yeah, but there's other things in courthouse general that I would handle, so I'm not sure if you're wanting me to continue with that as well or not.
I don't know how to respond for sure. It may be something that needs to be worked out a little bit later, Angie.
Okay.
And that goes back to my example, we should have worked all this out before we jumped right in and made the decision.
So do you see any more that you
And I
want?
can understand that a little bit too, Bob. Which one was you talking about?
I wondered if you wanted to have or add Solid Waste Closure Care Reserve Fund, since that was a new fund. You wanted that one added, but do you see any more on that sheet that you would like added? Because not all of them are on here, just specific ones that you asked for.
Mr. Chairman, those funds have been the same on that fund report for years, and that's why I just wanted to make sure, do you guys want anything changed with the new year coming up? Obviously, the December one will be the same as it's been, but, for the new year, what would you like to see?
Anybody got any ideas if they wanna make some changes? I can't think of anything right offhand, Karen, but how much do we set up into that new one? Was it 400?
The Solid Waste Closure
Yeah.
Care, I would have to look on the
1.2.
resolution.
1.2 this time? I don't recall. Okay, I remember 1.2. Seemed like I remember 400 also.
Do you want that one added?
Well, if it's gonna be a reserve fund, to me, it ought to be on that list.
Everyone agrees?
Everybody agree with putting that solid waste fund on the list that we're provided monthly?
Yes.
And you guys can just look over those, and if you see something, just let me know, and I'll get it added to the because we won't be doing it till the end of January anyway, so just let me know if you see, that's just where things sit at the end of the
Okay.
year too.
Okay, you got anything else, Tom?
I just have some things for you to sign. Let me check here. Nope. That's it.
Okay, I will officially adjourn at 11:56 then. We adjourn 11:56.
How was the trip back with the dog? Uneventful?
Traveling with a
Didn't
puppy.
eat any rocks?
Whatever's on the ground.
Yeah.
Can be picked up.
I'm doing pretty good. New Year.
Okay.